But before that, you should try to find tangent theta. So let's see how this thing works. First, notice that there are indeed some angle formulas related to the cross product and the dot product. First thing is that if you have cross product of two vectors, then their norm is same thing as the norm of the first vector. I call this the norm, but sometimes it's called size or magnitude. So the magnitude of the first vector times the magnitude of the second vector times sine of theta. And the dot product is already a scalar, so you don't need to put any norm. This itself is norm of u over norm of u times norm of v times cosine of theta. So you see that if you divide these two things, then you get the following formula. The norm of u cross v over u dot v is equal to the norm of u times norm of v times sine of theta divided by norm of u, norm of v times cosine of theta. And because u cancels and v cancels, so you end up with sine over cosine, which is just equal to the tangent of theta. Okay, so that kind of tells us exactly what we need to do. We already know u dot v, it's -5, so we just need to figure out what u cross v is. Well, first you have to just apply, you have to know that this means it's 1, -1, 2 in the coordinate representation. And the norm of this would be 1 squared plus -1 squared plus 2 squared. And that's equal to square root of 6. And therefore, tangent of theta would be the ratio between this over that, right? So tangent of theta is u cross v divided by u dot v, which is equal to square root of 6 divided by -5, or negative radical 6 over 5. Okay, now so the next thing is, how do you find the angle theta then? Well, because tangent theta is equal to negative radical 6 over 5, that would mean that theta is equal to tangent inverse of negative radical 6 over 5. This is almost true, except that if your tangent value is negative, then tangent inverse gives you a negative value. But angle theta is between 0 to 180 degrees, right? 0 degrees to 180 degrees. So you can't have a negative value. I mean, I can show you if you actually try to plug this into the calculator. Let's say you have tangent inverse of negative radical 6 over 5. Then you get this angle -26 degrees, right? So angles between two vectors are not negative. So how do you interpret this? The trouble here is the following. If you have dot product less than 0, that means cosine is less than 0, because a size of a vector is never negative. So if the dot product between two vectors is less than 0, that means cosine is less than 0, which means that the angle between them should be bigger than 90 degrees. Okay? Obtuse angle. These two vectors have obtuse angle between them. So what's really needed is the problem that we face is the fact that tangent inverses, unfortunately, it has some blind spots. It can only give you angles between negative 90 degrees to positive 90 degrees, and therefore whenever it gives you a minus, then you have to add 180 degrees. Okay, so add if tangent is negative. Okay, that's only for the case when you try to find the angle of two vectors. Alright, so knowing that, now let's use the calculator. We have this, and all we have to do is to add 180 degrees, and that gives you 153.9 degrees. So the answer is 153.9 degrees.